It happened that I sold these two items today, February 8th, 2024. It is a Thursday. Both of them high-priced items that have been sitting around in my store for quite a long time. This one here since 2021, and this one possibly as long as that. So this is a 7-inch single, and that is obviously a book. It's a graphic novel. Let me specify that these were sales on eBay, just in case you were wondering, not in my store. Not in my store here. Those are items that I listed on eBay. So this 7-inch, often referred to as a 45, this is from 1967, and it is East Side Kids. There's two songs on here, if I can get it out. East Side, Close Your Mind. Oh boy. That was fun. And Take a Look in the Mirror. This is a super rare record. Even on Discogs, if you go on there, I think there's maybe one copy. And I don't believe there's any copies. At least, actually, I'm not 100% sure on that, if there's any copies on eBay. And when I listed it, there either were no copies or there was maybe like one other, but it's been a few years, so I don't remember this. If I remember correctly, I know this was a donation, and I believe that was a donation as well. So the record sold for $100. I had it listed for, I think, like $120, something like that. And over that whole time, I may have had a much lower offer that I probably countered with, and they didn't accept it. But it ended up selling for $100. So that was a really nice sale. If you get a bunch of 45s, you might think that they're not worth any money, but surprise, surprise, there's some that are. So this one would stand out to me because East Side Kids just sounds kind of interesting. I've never heard of it before, so I would definitely look that up. When it's somebody, an artist or group that I recognize, then, unless it's a group that might be sought after, unless it's a really great condition and it's maybe Beatles, or if it's, it could be anything. It could be a popular band or artist. I would look that up as well. But this one stood out to me, and turns out it's called the genre is garage rock, and they did not make much music, which is probably why it's sought after. But that was a really nice sale. And then this one, I remember this donation. It was a big donation pickup back, I think it's been 2.5 plus years, maybe 3 years now. I remember I picked it up, a bunch of books, some boxes, many bags. There was hundreds and hundreds of books, really great stuff in there, a lot of sci-fi and fantasy, and some other stuff. And this one is, as you can see, that's the name, Yukinobu Hoshino. I looked him up. He's 70 years old now. This came out in 1995. This book was published in 1995. It is a graphic novel about space exploration in the future and what it would be like to live on, Mars or whatever, other planets or whatnot. So turns out this is a pretty rare one. And I had it listed for $120 and I sold it for $95. I don't remember this one specifically listing it, but I do, it's funny enough, remember the name of the person that I picked it up from when I saw the SKU, because she had quite a lot. I mean, I remember I had to park next to this complex, and I had to walk about, it's not that far, but far enough where I had to take about 10 or so trips. It was so many boxes, mostly bags actually, so many bags of books. But I helped them clear their stuff out, and I've been able to get them, make some money off this and get all these books into other people's hands. So even though these took quite a while to sell, it was more than worth it. You have to, I say this over and over again, but it's really important, because if you're going to sell on Amazon or eBay, and these were eBay, especially if you're going to do merchant fulfilled on Amazon, which means you store the item before it sells. And of course, if you do eBay, you have to store the item yourself. So keep that in mind. These don't take up that much space, but when you have hundreds of them, potentially that are long tail items, they're not all going to take 2 years to sell. But some will sell within a few months, maybe take 6 months, 8 months, a year. But there's some that will take a while for a variety of reasons. That maybe it's rare, the item's rare, but there's just not um, quite enough interest in it to sell relatively quickly, and that just happens. So I recommend having some of the items like this in your store, unless you can't stand waiting so long to sell an item and you want to turn them over really quickly. You're probably going to slash the prices, or you're just going to pull it from your store. So that's fine. You just got to decide what makes sense for you. There's no right answer except for what is right for you. Um, I've sold items after having listed them on Amazon 5 years, and it's sold. Now, the thing that I've learned over the years, though, is I'm not going to list an item that could take a long time to sell for a low price. I'm not going to have something on there because it's selling for $10, and then 3 years later I sell it. But something like this, where combined $195 of gross sales for just 2 items, is definitely worth it. At least that's the way that I look at it. You could look at it differently, but just make that decision. I also, yeah, I was just going to say, I got this box of books donated today, all very old books. Chances are, as I'm going through them, I went through one book. I just started, but chances are a lot of those are going to be Longtails just because they're older books. And that's fine. I don't mind waiting. The more Longtail items you list that are for high profit, the more Longtail items you'll sell for high profit. Because some of them will take longer than others, and some will sell pretty quickly. Something you thought, oh, this could take a long time, it sells within a month, sells within a couple weeks, sells within a couple months, and you're surprised, or it might surprise you. But don't think that every single item that seems like it's going to take a long time is going to take as long as you think it will, because that's not always the case. So keep that in mind as you're building up your inventory. We all want items to sell immediately for high profit. And if that's the only thing you want in your store, then you should stick to that and only buy items that'll sell whatever the time frame is. If it's a month, if it's 3 months, if it's 6 months, you make sure when those items hit a month, 3 months, 6 months, and they haven't sold, that you're either going to pull them from your store or you're going to slash the price dramatically by, let's say, 50% to try to move it. And then if it even doesn't sell, then what are you going to do? So I say be patient. But again, if you don't have that level of patience, that's fine. Just stick to it. That's all. Have a system, have a plan for those items that will inevitably not sell as soon as you thought they would. Some people only want to sell quick selling items on Amazon, either FBA or merchant fulfilled. They only want stuff that hits the warehouse as an FBA or goes live through merchant fulfilled, and it's selling within a couple of weeks, days to a couple of weeks, and then after a month they're getting agitated because it hasn't sold. That's fine. But when it comes to books and media, there's a lot of it that even though some of it sells fast, some of it won't. So just make sure there's a lot of profit in there. Because I've been through this roller coaster thinking something will sell, but then it's priced so low, who cares, right? Don't have a bunch of items that are going to take 6 months to a year to sell, and on average they're selling for between $10 and $15. I just don't recommend that. But again, if you want to do that, that's on you. If you don't mind storing them for that long, and then when they sell, the profit being pretty low, at least my whole thing is, start high, and then if the item's been around a long time and you're willing to take a lower offer, take it. So if I'm listing something for $40 and 6 months later it hasn't sold, but I get an offer for $20, I'm gonna be pretty happy with $20. But if I'm starting at $20 and the offer's for $8, I'll just be glad to get rid of it and make $4 off of it, or $3 or whatever. So the higher you start with your price, the more chance that you'll still get a decent amount for it and stay above whatever threshold you set for yourself. Everyone's different. Decide. I like to have my long items in general going for 30 or more, but especially the long tail stuff. The more profit, the better. and 30 bucks. It sells for 30 bucks, and I'm not doing free shipping, so I'm going to make around 24, 25 bucks, depending on if I promoted it as well. But over 20 bucks, and that's fine with me. But just, decide what's going to work for you, and stick to it, and keep going. Even though I only had those 2 sales, that's not true. I had another sale. I had that book lot, but those 3 sales, so 3 total sales, these 2 helped. Even though the quantity wasn't there, the profit was there. So I was glad about that, so that I could, make good money, even in a day, and on eBay, even though it was slow in terms of the quantity. I mean, ideally we want quantity and quality, as in high profit. That's what we all shoot for. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next video. Take care.